Deep within the Pentagon's most classified labs, a revolutionary weapon was taking shape. A technological marvel that promised to redefine modern warfare.
It was a blimp. I first learned about this crazy innovation, this Blue Devil airship, back in 2010 when I was on the Marine mobile team in Afghanistan. My lieutenant comes up to me and he's like, hey, you're gonna come with me. We're gonna go meet with a bunch of high-ranking officials and all these officers from these different branches and some civilian contractor to talk about this crazy new project. Sir, I'm a corporal. I don't have no business being in a meeting like that. So go enjoy, have fun. Hasta la vista, see you later, navigator. Leave me the hell out of that. I don't want to be around it. He's like, no, they actually want your perspective because I'm on this 7-man team and I'm an air traffic controller and I'm one of the head operators for the tower. So they wanted my perspective on this project, how it was going to impact the airspace, what we thought about it from the Marine mobile team perspective. My lieutenant's like, look, man, I'm the fire team leader. I'm not an operator. I'm not a controller. You are. You're going to go and talk to him. Well, I guess, damn, okay, let's do this thing. We get into the meeting, there's a bunch of high-ranking dudes. 1 or 2 Air Force guys, a couple of Army soldiers, we had a Marine Corps gunny, me, my lieutenant, and this guy from Northrop Grumman, however you pronounce that. This civilian contractor was there, and they were briefing us on this crazy thing that they were gonna unveil. All right. Let's see what you got. They hit us with the craziest presentation ever. They're like, we've developed this aircraft that's gonna fly up to a couple thousand feet and just be orbiting, constantly surveilling the battlefield beneath you. Like, we have millions of dollars of equipment on this thing. It'll be able to detect where a mortar round was fired, track the trajectory of it, figure out the possible impact location, send an alert to troops on the deck before it even hits. All right, that's kind of badass. Then it talked about this GPS navigation that it has where it can go point to point to point in this really organized manner so it can cover this incredible amount of airspace in a, well, not a short period of time, but just constantly. He's like, this aircraft is known as the Blue Devil. I'm like, sounds badass. All right. Pulls the thing off, it's a freaking blimp, dude. I'm like, wait, hold on, wait a minute. This whole time I've been listening to this presentation for a blimp. Okay, maybe they know something that I don't. Okay, they go around the room and they're like, hey, ask as many questions as you guys want because we need to develop this thing. So feel free to put any goods, bads out there that you guys have. We're all ears. So they start with the Air Force. Air Force dudes are kind of neutral. He's like, well, we see how this can be innovated for the battle space. This equipment could change the way that we conduct ground fighting. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Still kind of neutral, whatever. Then they go to the soldiers, and the soldiers are kind of the same way. They're a little bit more neutral than the Air Force guys. Yeah, we don't really know how we're feeling about it. It could be good, it could be bad. We're kind of indifferent. What? Nobody's gonna call these dudes out for having a fucking blimp, dude? Am I just the only one that thinks that this is a little bit ridiculous? Okay, whatever. They get to the Marine. We have this old Marine Corps gunny that's there, and this dude is just salty as hell. Okay, if you know Marine Corps gunnies, you know this dude's gonna be salty. They look at the gunny and he's like, is it weaponized? No gunny, no weapons on board. He's like, I'm out. That was it. That's all it took. They asked everybody at the table what they thought about it. You get to the Marine. The only thing he cares about is, can you put weapons on it? Nah, if you can't, I'm out. I'm done. So then it goes to my lieutenant, and instead of just covering for me and starting a conversation, he's like, I'm gonna defer this to my corporal here. He's in charge of the air traffic control tower, and he's one of the operators in the fire team. He's gonna be able to cover everything for you guys. What? No. Okay, let's start with a basic question. How many successful flights has this thing had? Like, is it already created, built, and tested? Where are we at in development? Well, we've had about 10 successful takeoffs so far. Okay, well, what about the landings? That's the tough part. We haven't actually successfully landed it. What? If my math is correct, and if you guys have been on my channel, you know my math is never correct. But if my math is correct, every plane that has ever went up has came down at some point, correct? But it's not always a landing, so that's a red flag. If I wasn't already questioning the fact that it's a blimp, now I got some other questions about how this thing is gonna affect my airspace, because this thing sounds like an absolute nightmare, at least for air traffic controllers. What's the cruising altitude of it? And they said it can go up to, I can't remember the specifics, but it was pretty high up. They're like, oh, it can cruise at like 20,000 feet or something like that. I'm like, okay, cool. How long does it take to get there? Maximum airspeed was like 12 knots, and it took 75 miles to get to 2,000 feet. All right, how big is this blimp? Oh, the total length is 100 yards. Okay, so it's the size of a football field, and it's gonna take 75 miles going 12 knots to reach a basic altitude of like 2,000 feet. We're in Afghanistan. So we're gonna take this blimp that's the size of a football field, fly it at 12 knots for miles on end as this thing is slowly climbing out. This thing is gonna be a target. Of course, I had to ask the question, how many rounds can this thing sustain before it's completely destroyed? They already shoot at our 60s, our Chinooks. They shoot at fighter jets, man. They're definitely gonna be shooting at this freaking blimp, okay? I wanna shoot at the blimp, and I'm not even an enemy. We haven't actually tested or figured that out yet, but we figured that at least a couple of rounds from an AK-47, and then it would compromise the structural integrity of the aircraft, and it may fall out of the sky. All right, this thing is just sounding words about a minute. Just so I'm tracking here. You have this massive target that is going incredibly slow in a very hostile terrain. Some Taliban dude that's just walking down the road can see this thing and just unload and spray an AK-47 and it'll fall out of the sky. You don't need to be accurate. It's going too slow for that. You could just spray that thing up. Oh, that sounds horrible. Okay, well, now we got that out of the way. Where are you gonna store it? Because last time I checked, we're at a small forward operating base. We don't have a lot of space. We don't even have hangars out here. Where are we gonna put this thing? That's a great question. We're gonna tether it to a pole. It's gonna be on a platform. And whenever the wind blows, it's gonna spin around and face the direction of the wind because any high winds can cause damage to the aircraft. So when I woke up this morning, we had just had 3 mortar rounds almost take out our entire air traffic control site. So now you're gonna put this massive target out and just, okay, so how do I go about controlling this thing? So in air traffic control, we have a set priority of different aircraft. We use an acronym called ALSPFI that lets us know how to give priority to different aircraft. For an example, first one is aircraft in distress, lifeguard, search and rescue on an actual mission, presidential and his entourage, flight checks, and instrument. Then we also give right away to balloons because they're not very easy to maneuver, so we make other aircraft maneuver to them. So I just wanted to know, like, is there a pilot on board? How does it navigate? Like, what's going on here? It's a single pilot operated blimp. It's gonna go GPS point-to-point navigation and then eventually return. You plug in the coordinates, it flies the route and then lands. Okay, simple enough. What about emergencies? Like, how do we handle emergencies here? We did run into some issues where the GPS signal would be lost and the blimp would become derelict. What? No way you just said derelict, bro. You're telling me we're gonna take this dude who's probably an officer, put him in the cabin inside of this blimp, send him on his way. He's just inside plugging away GPS coordinates, having the time of his life. Uh-oh, lost signal. And now he's just blown away with the wind. Like, where the hell am I going? Help. Like, what the fuck? And there's nothing he could do. He's just going wherever the wind takes him. Y'all wilding out right now. That sounds like the craziest thing ever. I could just picture like a search and rescue mission. We're on the ground trying to, like, looking up like, there he is. Look, he's going northbound. And this dude is just going in a blimp. We are in Afghanistan, bro. People are trying to kill us on a daily basis, and we're just making it a little bit easier for them, right? Like, this doesn't make any sense at, okay. Oh my God. So if this thing actually does get into the air, it's, I shouldn't have even asked any questions, bro. Why am I here right now, bro? I'm a corporal. Let me go home. Let me go back to work, man. The long story short, I'm just like, yeah, I say probably a bad idea. I don't really like it, at least from the air traffic control perspective. I don't think that this is the greatest idea or use of our time or equipment, but that's just me. I'm a corporal. You don't gotta listen to me. They didn't. They just did it anyway. I saw pictures of this thing at our base, like, I don't know, like 1 or 2 years later. And yeah, didn't work out very well. They ended up scrubbing this thing back in 2012 because of all the massive amounts of technical issues, failures, and costs. Are you shocked? Because I'm not, bro. Let me know in the comment section below if you would volunteer to be a pilot on this blimp and how much they would have to pay you to make it happen. I know that this is probably not the best recruitment video for this, but if you're still undecided on joining the military, I have a great video, link in description, that I made specifically for you. On this screen, you're gonna see a video that is highly recommended that you watch next. And until next time, see ya.